When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
If you've got a take on how the city has made car ownership more difficult for you, I'd love to hear about it at 514-790-0800. You can give us a call, and maybe I'll give you the opportunity after we speak to Alan DeSousa to talk about this. This morning we find out, Montreal Gazette did some analysis, and it's revealed that under Projet Montreal, right, this is the party that is very clearly, right, out to get the car, right? They've done many things, rightly or wrongly, because we can debate if they're on the right path as an idea, right, or as a policy. But they have definitely been on the path to try and make owning a car as difficult as possible in the city, whether it's removing parking spots or other measures that have come in place under Projet Montreal. Well, at the very same time, lo and behold, we find out today that the city keeps buying more cars, more vehicles for itself. 5 years, up by 1,000 vehicles, increase of 14%. I know when you hear about that, I thought, geez, that sounds pretty hypocritical. Let's get the take from the opposition on this one. Alan DeSousa is the mayor of the borough of Saint-Laurent, and of course, he's from Ensemble Montreal. Alan, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Elias, and thanks for having me on. And let me start off by wishing all of your listeners a very happy New Year, and for the Orthodox community who's celebrating Christmas now, Merry Christmas. Even though it feels kind of funny to say that in January, but Merry Christmas.
You left out the Fête des Rois. Isn't today the Fête des Rois? Why are you leaving stuff out? If you're going to start an interview by pandering to various communities, you should pander to all of them, Alan.
That too. That too.
All right. Pandering aside, let's talk about the issue here, okay? And I also want to bring up the fact that this is a time where the city should be tightening the belt, right? Should be trying to reduce expenses. So from 2017 to today, we find out that they've gone from 7,300 vehicles to 8,300 vehicles, okay? What's your take, Alan, on the city of Montreal and the boroughs, by the way, all the boroughs just loving buying more vehicles?
Well, it's a little bit ironic in the sense that just a few weeks ago, in the context of a very tragic accident, the mayor said that is it normal to have more and more and more cars? And her answer was no. And if you take that to its logical conclusion, Elias, it would mean that you should be reducing cars. But the problem is the city should be leading by example. If you ask other people to do something, if you ask others to reduce their car usage, if you ask others to perhaps take public transit and so on and so forth, well, first off, the city has got to be out of the gates as being as exemplary as possible, and not only with its employees, but also with regard to its purchasing and with regard to its usage. And that is definitely not the case, because we're seeing that the component of electric cars are close to 6% of the overall fleet, and the increase in the overall fleet has been 14%. So you're increasing the fleet faster than you can really electrify it. And I think this is not rocket science. This is something that it should be relatively easy to put in place a strategy that would, one, reduce the number of vehicles, help your employees have other means of transport, and lastly, to make sure that you can share vehicles as much as possible. So those would be three strategies that would be easy to implement right out of the gates. We do it in Saint-Laurent, but I can say that it should be done and can and should be done at the City of Montreal level.
So looking at the numbers here, if you look at the top 10 boroughs when it comes to cars that the various boroughs own, of the top 10, 9 are Projet Montreal boroughs. There's one Ensemble Montreal borough on that top 10, and it's yours. It's Saint-Laurent. So let's talk about your borough's use of cars. Is it over the top?
I don't think so. We have the reason we show up in the top 10 is because we're the largest territory of the boroughs on the island of Montreal. So
size-wise, area-wise, you're talking about.
Area-wise. And so we've got a lot of territory to cover. That being said, we have and will continue to put in place means, and I'll give you some examples. Every time a purchase is made, the first question is, do we really need it? Okay, and it goes back to our hiring. When people are hired by Saint-Laurent in its different departments, we ask them, where do you live? We ask them, what are your means of transport? We try to make sure that up front, coming in the door, that we can help the employee either through transit passes or through other means to make sure that once they start, they're using something other than the car where they can do that. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, we also try and work out with them as to, for their job that they're actually doing, do they really need a car? We put at the disposition of our employees everything from bikes to car sharing to electric cars, so that even on small jaunts, they're able to do a quick hop through an alternative means or through a car sharing program, either with the city's cars or with the communauto cars. And lastly, other than saying, do we really need the car, when we are making a purchase, we always ask, is there an alternative on the market that would be electrified? So do we have, when we purchased our Zamboni, the first question we asked was, can we buy an electrified Zamboni? We do need a Zamboni for our arena. We can't cut it out. We need it to maintain the ice surface. But can we do an electric Zamboni? And we've had that for well over a decade. Mm-hmm. So those are three small ways, but can be expanded at the city level to make sure it takes into account everybody.
Alan, we're with Alan DeSousa from Ensemble Montreal. Alan, does Ensemble Montreal have an official position on cars in the city? Like, should we, should we be doing more things to reduce the number of cars? Because I do need to point this out on this issue. We cannot. It is impossible to add tens of thousands of new vehicles onto the island of Montreal every year and expect for traffic to get better. So what is the official position of Ensemble Montreal when it comes to citizens' car ownership?
Well, we are perhaps not as ideological as Projet Montreal in the sense that we realize that there is a need and a use, because not everyone has the ability to go where they go to work or do their day-by-day jobs purely by public transit. When you do go and purchase your groceries, you're purchasing hardware, it's hard to lug things on public transit. So yes, there is a need for cars. At the same time, we do everything we can to make sure that people have options, either in designing our neighborhoods to make sure that they are pedestrian-friendly, that they have access to public transit, and that we put in place mechanisms with developers to minimize and reduce the need for it. At the same time, above and beyond the community at large, we also try to make sure that as a city, as a municipal leader, we can lead by example. And that's the type of examples that I've given you, where when we're electrifying our fleet, when we're reducing our cars, and we're trying to make sure our employees are the ones who are also leading by example, we put in place policy. So is there an official policy? I can't say that I've seen an official policy, but we try to find a balanced approach, recognizing that cars are the leading source, not just of greenhouse gas emissions, but of inefficiencies and also gridlock that reduces the efficiencies of our economy. If we've got gridlock, whether you're in an electric car or whether you're in a gas car, you're still caught up in gridlock, and you can't get to point A to point B.
Alan,
electric, but at the same time, reducing congestion is a priority.
Alan, I have to wrap this up, but is this something your party will bring and maybe try and force the issue here? Can't you guys try and pass a motion or launch a motion at City Hall to say, hey, we got to cut our number of cars in the City of Montreal that's owned by the City of Montreal by 10%? Could you try and use this at City Hall and make the mayor walk the walk that she talks?
Well, it's clearly highly inconsistent for the mayor to talk about reducing cars when the reverse is happening at the city level. So I do think there's a need for coherency. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth, and it sounds like Projet Montreal, and the mayor included, try to talk in lofty ideals But when the time comes to actually manage and practically deal with the issue on the ground, they're nowhere to be found. I haven't heard them defending this 14% increase nowhere since today's article came out. They've run for the hills. And so, yeah, we will do everything we can to hold their feet to the fire, not just for political purposes, but at the end of the day, it's for environmental purposes. It's also for cost purposes. If we can right-size our fleet and make sure that our fleet is performing, it's electrified, and we need the least amount of cars possible, then we're saving taxpayers money. And I think that's what counts. That's what keeps taxes down. And that's
Alan?
why it means that the city does not have to borrow for these type of things.
Alan,
It
I got to
doesn't
leave it
make
there.
any sense, Elias, to have other cities with 10 times our population but having, three times the number of cars.
Vehicles,
I
yeah.
mean,
Alan,
if people can do it efficiently, we should be able to do it as well.
I got to leave it there. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Thanks so much. And again, a Happy New Year to all of you.
Yes, insert holiday here and a happy one to all of you. Okay, Alan, thanks so much. That's Alan DeSousa, Mayor of Saint-Laurent and from Ensemble Montreal.